I know that if you're off the mood, I need to give you space. But with me, even if you ask me, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, and that's it.
No, dig
that
deeper.
Doesn't mean for you to stop right there.
We can never outlove God.
Yeah.
We can never outgive God. We give and God is going to pour more.
Are we still in this? Like, are you still into me? Because you got to let me know now.
If we were to break up, like that's it. So
Yeah.
we got to make sure that if we're going to end it, we're going to end it.
We're a team. This is us together. It's not against each other. It made me question like, okay, are you like really into me or not?
All right, welcome to another episode of Love Cashflow. I am your host, Ivan Tejeda.
And I am your host too, Jenny Tejeda.
Let's freaking go, the better version of this podcast. So today's episode is going to be very spontaneous, I feel. We're going to just start off with a topic and then we're going to see what God does from there.
Oh boy.
I'm excited for those because that's when you don't have an agenda, you allow things to flow and then the Holy Spirit just does his thing. So what is the topic that we're going to start off with?
No, I'm flowing with you.
You had it. You had it.
No.
What do you mean no?
Those were love ones.
Doesn't matter. It's still a topic, baby girl.
Oh, I thought
we need a starting point.
I thought you wanted new stuff.
No, it doesn't matter. We could go with whatever.
Oh boy, here we go.
Or I could just pick one right now off the top of the dome just for the sake of it. By the way, guys, we're doing this on purpose, the whole not scripting it, because we want it to be something authentic and not something that we're like predetermining what we're going to say. Of course, it's good to have some sort of structure. A starting point would have been ideal, which you had. I guess miscommunicated.
Yeah.
That we wanted to do that. It happens a lot.
A lot.
Like this is real life scenario right now.
And this is a moment where you, I guess, as the woman that's the more emotional one, you have to be like,
yeah, okay. Because us guys tend to not voice certain things and then sometimes maybe assume that, I feel like that's both ways. I want to say just guys, but sometimes if you don't communicate, you can't just assume that's because I technically assume that you already had the topics ready.
Yeah. And the assumption is really bad. Like in general.
The assumption can be the death of a relationship.
100%.
Just like that.
Yeah, because we even had a lot of issues with us, like assuming with each other.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I would say more so than that, expectations. Which is
but like there's been times where like, oh, but I assume that you were, let's say, gonna handle it, handle something, and you didn't, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So. Assumption is a big one, but expectations is another one too.
For sure.
But
I think that when it comes to assumptions and all of that, it all boils down to communication. You know, I remember that you were huge on assuming that I was going to do certain things, that I was going to, act a certain way and all these different things. And I remember having a really I want to say, tough conversation kind of where I set you down and I was like, babe, you can't assume that I'm going to know. Like you need to tell me. And unless it comes out of your mouth, don't hold me accountable to what you think I should have done. Like you need to tell me exactly.
And even if like, let's say my behavior is different and that's like my way of telling you like something's off.
You're right.
It's still not enough.
Still not enough.
To communicate.
Right.
Through a mood.
Yep.
That something's off. You know?
Because for us guys, well, I'll speak for myself, but I'm pretty sure it's us guys too. Like things just fly over our heads, especially when it has to do with like emotional intelligence on a certain level, right? Especially when it comes to another person.
Yeah.
For me, unless you of course, I'm not an idiot. Like I could pick up when the mood is off, and I personally will just kind of like, all right, girl, like I'm sure you're going through something. Do you want to talk about it?
And that's a problem too.
Yeah.
Because at least with me, like I know that if you're off the mood, I need to give you space.
Yeah.
You know? But with me,
I need to get all up on you.
Yeah.
And ask
you need to be like, even if you ask me, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, and that's it.
No, dig deeper.
Doesn't mean for you to stop right there. Unless I tell you, give me space.
Right.
Literally telling you.
Which you would never do.
Give me space. Sure.
Yeah, never.
unless I don't tell you that, then it's like you need to keep on asking.
Right.
You know, because we're total
it's just
opposites.
hilarious. To me, like it still doesn't register, but I know exactly what you mean because I've been dealing with
like
this.
We still go through that.
Yeah, 100%. Like in full transparency. Or how Pastor Mike Todd says, keep it hot, honest, open, and transparent. Something like that. But no, that's real talk, because at the end of the day, if you personally don't tell me that you're feeling weird, unless obviously you're giving out all the signals and vibes and all of that, and you're making it evident by your body language and your attitude and stuff. Not that you walk around with an attitude, but you just kind of like turn off. You're not your usual self.
Yeah.
Like I'm able to, I'm able to pick up on it I think that you're able to pick up on when I'm in a certain mood more, because I'm always at a like consistent level all the time.
Yeah,
but you're more
you don't
relaxed,
change it.
reserved. I don't really, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I know when you're like in a state of like your mind is just going at a million.
Right.
Or like if something is like not going well or whatever, let's say in the business or something, and I'm like, obviously I want to know.
Yeah.
You get me? But I know it's not the time.
Yes.
It's not the time. I guess it's a way that you eventually have to like, that's how you get to really know your person, you know, like your partner, because you know when to
approach them
in certain situations based on their moods, based on their whatever.
Yeah. Because there's different types of people that deal with, you know, issues, stress, and all of that in a very different way.
Right.
So for me, you know, so that everyone knows, like when I'm going through something, I don't really want to hear from anyone unless they're going to help me solve that situation in a very, you know, effective way.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to burn mental calories trying to explain what the heck happened and all this nonsense until it's actually done. So a lot of the times when something occurs, I usually tell you after the fact, right?
Right.
Like I tell you, okay, so this happened.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I already have the solution. Like it's already done,
it's already
or
calm.
Whatever. Everything has happened that was going to happen. And then I usually bring it up unless I'm in a place where I don't know how to fix it myself, or that's when I bring you in. But that's rare, right? Unless it has obviously something to do with the family and all of that. But if it's like business related or whatever, unless I know that you're going to contribute.
Like if it doesn't really affect me directly, that's where you hold off.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think obviously you can't not know a person like this from one day to the next. It takes time. It takes years. Yeah. You know, I think we've come a long way from how we first started to how it is now, and we're still trying to figure it out.
It's a lifelong journey of understanding each other, and most importantly, understanding ourselves. Yeah. Because
we're growing individually as well.
Yeah.
So with that growth comes new ways of handling things, the moods, and how to handle your moods. You know.
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest things that I tell people when they're about to get married or whatnot is like prepared, obviously, to understand and learn more about each other. But you're going to learn a whole lot about yourself, too. Yeah. Things that probably never irked you, you're going to start to see that now they bother you. Yeah. Things that you overlooked maybe now because you're living with another person and have to care for them and all of that. Yeah, that also becomes a deciding factor or an influencer in a whole bunch of different things. So when you get married, you're not just learning about your significant other in that process in the beginning. You're learning a lot more about yourself than anything else. Yeah, and then you have to also take it a step further and communicate those things to facilitate your person in understanding how you function and work. Like, hey, the way you said this bothered me, or the way you did this was awesome.
Those are such important conversations to have, and even frequent to have too. Yeah, because sometimes like things are done like towards each other, and it's like boop.
No, and people just bottle it in or throw it under the rug, and next thing you explode because you've accumulated so many different little things, minuscule things. I believe that the majority of relationships that end up being because of a lot of small things that pile up, versus one big issue. Right. Obviously, there's the times where, you know, the dude freaking cheats or the girl cheats or whatever. Those are big issues that ruin relationships. But in most cases, I believe it's a lot of little things that don't get addressed, especially from the beginning.
Yeah.
I remember, when we first started dating.
If you've been wanting to start an Airbnb business but don't know how or where to start, I've made a brand new mini course condensing our most recent 6-hour-long workshop into a jam-packed starter course. In this 7-day starter course, you'll learn the problems and mistakes I see rookies make when starting their Airbnb business, my 3 pillars of success, namely how to scout and pitch landlords to let you rent their properties to then list them on Airbnb, instead of having to spend thousands of dollars on getting started by buying a property. My Airbnb price strategy overview, which like me can help you make over $1 million on Airbnb alone. My automation process, which will give you the time freedom and allow you to work on your business instead of in your business. I'll guide you step by step through setting up your very own Airbnb account and mock listing to have ready for your first property. And lastly, I'll show you how to add the same guest message templates I've refined over the years for both quick replies and scheduled messages to effectively communicate with guests. And on top of all of the jam-packed education, I'm also throwing in my Pro Host Profit Calculator, access to Airbnb's earnings potential tool, my house rules templates, my Amazon shopping list, my Pro Host budgeting tool, and more. This education derives from 3 years of running a profitable Airbnb business, automating it to where it runs itself. If applied, these can help you instantly get partnerships with landlords and turn a passion for real estate investing into an extra income or even a full-time business. Students who have taken this starter course have claimed that they've learned more in these 3 hours of content than they did scavenging for answers in the internet. But no, we're not going to charge you thousands of dollars like others would. You can join today for just $27. So click the link below to sign up and get instant access to everything, apply what you learned, and get immediate step-by-step guidance and your mock listing setup or your money back. I'll see you there.
I told you that I'm the type of guy that we're not going to do the back and forth, like relationship wise.
Break up, get back together.
Yeah.
Break up.
There's a lot of people who, and some of them actually work, a lot of relationship work that they do that back and forth and finally they work. But your odds of actually working, because you have this already, I would say the right word would be like this tendency of being able to cop out and break the relationship and come back into it and all of that. I've had, for whatever the reason, a conviction from the very beginning when we started our relationship and previous relationships that weren't that, you're technically my first real girlfriend, but I always made it a point to voice that if we were to break up, like that's it, right? Like we're not getting back together. So we got to make sure that if we're going to end it, we're going to end it.
Yeah.
So when I voiced this early on in our relationship, just talking, getting to know each other and all of that, that stuck through to even the point where we were about to break up.
Yeah.
Before, we did.
But you gave grace.
Yeah, I wouldn't say grace. I just wanted to reassure that that's what you wanted to do. Like I was willing to respect your decision if you didn't want to move forward in the relationship, because I didn't want to be with someone who was half-assing it. But I wanted to reassure it and say, hey, totally fine. I remember, like, if it was yesterday, totally fine if you want to do this. Would you like to seek counsel, in this case, like our mentors, and then give this another, just talk about it. And if we decide after that conversation that it's not a go, then all right. Then we know that when we split up, we're done. Right? Like we're not going to be doing this back and forth.
Yeah.
So that's when that happened. And
question, but at that time when it did happen, did you know already, like you're like, I want to marry this woman, like before that went down? Like,
no, I wouldn't say I knew that you were for sure going to be my wife. I just knew that you were the potential that I like obviously I saw you as my wife, otherwise I wouldn't have been in the relationship. So I knew that it could get there someday if we put in the work and we could figure that out.
Yeah, because so I'm thinking, like, let's say if it wouldn't have worked out, you would have just like, okay, that's it. Like,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I know that it's funny because we've gone through this conversation, but for Jenny's laughing because it's crazy to her that I'm able to just like, okay, bye.
The thing is that it's not just like on this relationship. He's like that in everything.
Yeah.
Like you're very...
I'm not emotional or like I don't get attached to things or people.
People, nothing. Like you're very detached.
And I think honestly, like in full transparency, I think it's a gift and a curse. Probably mostly a curse than a gift, but it gives me mental peace. Like for my
you worry less.
Yeah, for my emotional state, I like it because it's not that easy for me to get stressed out over what people, do or think or whatever. But of course, from a standpoint of being a good, friend and being a good, dad or husband or whatever, then because I have this somewhat and I'm working on it, but because I have this attitude of,
you can care less.
I wouldn't say it because it sounds bad, but kinda, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm here to bat. Those that are my friends, my family, I'm your go-to person. You can count on me for whatever you need, whatever we need to do, whatever. I'll fight for you, bro. I've had situations where I say, who do we got to go beat up or whatever. But at the same time, if there's some sort of disrespect or I'm being rejected in any way, I don't feel like I'm valued in a relationship or what have you, then I'm this is not, it's not worth it for me, and I'm quick to do that. Maybe sometimes too quick, but
yeah. And I'm
working on it.
At least early on for us, I'm you need to fix that, at least with me.
Yeah.
Because for me, it came off as a lot, very
I didn't care.
You didn't care. You don't care about my feelings.
Yeah.
And it made me question okay, are you really into me or not?
Yeah. I remember this reminds me of the story when for those that have heard the previous episodes, we talked about when we first started dating, how we kept it to ourselves. And I remember those 6 months I think it was 6 months, was it? That we were doing? Those 6 months, it was tough for you because I was pretty good at keeping a poker face and not giving away that we were already a thing. Or we were talking, getting to know each other and all of that.
You're so dry.
So amongst our friends, I was just acting normal. Hey, how are you? And then that's it. Nothing. I really wanted to
no winky face, no eye contact.
Yeah. No under the table, touching the toes or anything. There's no footsies. So none of that. And I remember to you, because you're not how I am. Yeah. You're
I would message you at the end of the night or something. I'm are we still in this? Are you still into me? Because you got to let me know now.
Yeah. That your insecurity started to kick in because you didn't know if I was.
Yeah. Because I'm is this guy playing with me or what?
And the thing is that would only happen when we were with friends. Because that was the part of the deal. Right. And, but when we were talking and on the phone or texting or whatever, I was normal. It's just funny to know how I'm able to, I guess, flip the switch when it comes to that.
I think that way of you being the way that you are, of careless or whatever you want to call it, has helped me in the long run too.
In what way?
Because I used to care a lot of what people would say.
A lot or too much?
Too much.
Yeah. Because you still care. We all care.
I still care. But at the point where, I don't know how to explain it. It was just a way of I didn't want to seem mean, even though people think I am. Yeah. But I'm.
Yeah, the resting bee face that they talk about.
Yeah. So it made me feel you know what? I just have to do stuff for me. I don't care what others would say or think about.
Right.
If I feel at peace about it, then who cares?
Right. 100%.
No,
that's one of those things actually that, on that same vein, I know that one of the ways, I guess, to illustrate it so that the listeners and viewers can see or know of an example. I don't like imposing myself on people.
Yeah.
Just as much as probably I don't really like people imposing themselves on me in certain ways. So one example is, we had this group chat where a lot of our friends were in. And obviously it always happens in every group chat. There's this fantasy vacation that's going to happen that everybody says yay and hooray for. But when it's time to buy the flights or the tickets, everybody's like, boop, where I don't know.
They disappear.
Did we have that conversation? So for me, I know that, when we started doing the our trips more regularly and all of that, I told you, babe, we're not going to try to count on everyone else and rally them up and, try to figure out who's going to come, who's not. So all these things. It's hey, we just bought our flights. We just bought our hotel. We're going to stay here. Whoever's down to come, let's roll. We're going to have an amazing time. And if you can't come, if you can't make it, sucks for you, bro. We're going to have a good time. Right. So just that slight change in approach tells you how, for me at least, it's not about, like, I don't want to revolve decisions really based on other people's decisions.
Yeah.
Though I would love to, obviously I'm inviting them. I would love for them all to be there.
Yeah.
But for me, I can't like wait for, that back and forth and all of these different things and like convincing people and all these things. So I don't know. I guess that's just how my mind operates. Like I try to simplify things as much as possible.
Yeah. I think though I give you a balance.
100%.
Because sometimes like there'll be things or people that I'm like, babe, no, like we need to put a little more focus on this or give it a little more compassion. Like, come on.
Yeah. I'm a little cutthroat sometimes. Right?
Yeah. So I think it balances out. And then when going back, because it just came to me, like with the whole mood, like whenever I see you in a mood that it's like not normal, like instead of me like hounding on you on like, are you okay? What's going on? Whatever. Like I just do a quick prayer and I'm like, Lord, whatever he's happening, like just give him the solution, you know, give him the wisdom and the solution. And it's just a way where I'm like, it gives me ease too, because I get worked up, like I guess unconsciously.
Because you probably feel hopeless because there's nothing that you could do, but you know that I'm going through something. Yeah.
So it's just a matter of like, I'm like, God, like, whatever it is.
Yeah, you surrender it to him. Lord, Jesus, take the wheel.
Yeah.
No, that's true. And even to the point where like if I get hurt or something like that,
I think
that's worth saying. Because I don't think anybody is like how I am with that. Like if I stub my toe, I'm walking, boom, and I hit my pinky toe and I'm in pain. The last thing that I want is for someone to ask me if I'm okay. Like clearly not. And if I tell you, no, I'm not okay, what are you going to do about it? Come rub my back? It's my toe, fool. So for me, it's weird. I've thought about this. I'm like, why am I like this, bro? Because I'm in pain. It's happened so many different times. And I remember telling you, not even that long ago, maybe 2-3 years ago, like, babe, if I'm ever in pain, don't ask me, unless you have a quick solution for this. Just let me go through it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you could rub my back or whatever.
I mean, like if you're bleeding or something, I'll go grab the stuff.
Yeah, like help me out.
But not ask questions.
But don't ask stupid questions, because at the end of the day, it's a stupid question. Like it's stupid, and to the point where it's funny because Nathan and Emery, our kids, whenever you get hurt, you're like, the first thing that they do, are you okay, Daddy? Are you okay? And then for them, I can't like give them attitude. I'm like, I'm okay, Papi. Let me just go through this.
No, the worst thing is that Nathan will do this face when he asks, "Are you okay, Daddy?" Like he's making fun of you, but at the same time asking.
Yeah, but he's genuine. It's not like he's trying to make fun.
Oh my God.
I think it's, you know why he does it is because you probably make those faces when you ask them.
You think
Are you
so?
okay, Papi? Yeah, 100%. I can already see it.
I definitely ask him.
Yeah, and for sure you have a face.
But the face, I don't know.
No, for sure you do.
Oh my God.
Because you're concerned at the same time and all. Are you okay, Papi? Are you okay, Mommy? And so now I'm sure Nathan specifically, I don't think Emery makes a face, but Nathan,
she doesn't.
He copies everything that we do, which is,
literally
scary, but I guess good. That just keeps the freaking fire up our butts to make sure we don't do anything we shouldn't. But he's mimicking you. There's no other reason why he would make that face.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you see me in the road and you see me, I'm in pain, do not ask me how I'm doing unless you have a solution. Your freaking ambulance is coming or something like that. But anyways, I think that at this day and age, at the end of the road, all we sum it up to is communication. If I never told Jenny that when I'm in pain, not to ask me if I'm okay, or, the different things, at the end of the day, I know that I'm not a common dude where, there's a lot of wimpy dudes out there right now, you know, like all up in their emotions and all of that.
God,
and I think that,
so annoying.
I think that for us, it's a huge balance, because I'm kind of on one side of the spectrum and you're kind of on the opposite side. I just feel you're just a
different breed of men.
I think so
too.
A lot. And not necessarily like in a good or bad way.
Yeah, it's neutral for sure. It's just like,
I'm different.
Yeah, you're just different, And I think that definitely way better to over communicate than under communicate.
Yeah.
Because even if you sound like a freaking ¿cómo se dice?
A parrot?
No, like
A scratch disc?
yeah, that repeats again over and over.
Uh-huh. I guess.
No, there's a dicho.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's better to just repeat it over and over until it finally sticks to the person. To then say it one time and then
See, but even that could be annoying.
Yeah, but again, it's better to over
there's a balance.
communicate. Yeah, I'm not saying also like in a way like to tell them like every single day or every time. No, tampoco. But don't allow the bundling to happen.
Yeah.
You know, once you start feeling that.
Yeah, it's worth
You need to
mentioning
stop
as
it.
much as is needed. If something bothers you and the person just keeps doing it, you know, obviously you need to keep saying, hey, this bothers me.
Yeah.
But there's a point where
And I think that also what helps is like, for example, you can't say, like, for example, in our case.
This episode is brought to you by our partners at Wealthy Creator, the go-to experts for entrepreneurs looking to elevate their personal brand and unlock new income streams. With their proprietary Pineda method, you'll get a tailored blueprint. You'll master content production and discover monetization secrets that work. Don't just work hard, work smart, and let Wealthy Creator guide you to your next level of success. Visit the link in the description below to learn more and start transforming your personal brand today. Now back to the episode.
If something's bothering me, it's better for me to have a solution as well to share that with you
Yep.
than just sharing what's bothering me.
Love it. Yeah.
You get me?
I'm a huge fan of that. I don't like when people come up to me in business or personal with just an issue. I was like,
Yeah.
you come with the issue. Like, let's talk about it for sure. But come with some suggestions
Solution.
or solutions
Yeah.
to address the issue.
Right.
If you're just coming up to a person, to your boss or to your significant other, it was like, hey, this is the problem here.
And expect it from me like, okay, so let's do this.
Unless you
instead.
genuinely just don't know how to approach
Yeah.
it. But there has to be some sort of input that you would have.
I mean, if something's bothering you, I'm sure you have a solution for that because it would be the opposite of whatever is bothering you.
Right.
You know, in most relationship cases.
Right.
You know, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think that at the end of the day, when it comes to that communication stuff, you can't just take it lightly. Of course, some people it's just really hard to communicate with. I know that there's people that they're like freaking, you're walking on eggshells with them all the time because they get offended super easily and all of that. You have to know who you're communicating to.
Yeah.
Right. And if you need to lay the foundation of, I think there's this structure of communication that's called the sandwich, where it's like good, bad, good, right? So you share something good, say about this person, man, you're doing so awesome. You crushed it last month. I saw that you did this, that, and the third. I think that there's some room for improvement. We're getting into the bad in this area, blah, 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 you know? And I know that once we fix this, you're going to be so good, man. Like, I just love how you're so energetic and you approach every situation in such a positive way, blase, blase, blase. And that's a very effective way of communication, simply because you're starting on a good note and you're ending on a good note. You're putting the bad in the middle or the confrontation in the middle. And that's a structure that a lot of people don't know about. Well, they don't use because they don't know about it. But I think it would, help a lot of relationships if they do that. Whether it's a personal relationship or a business relationship, whatever it is, that structure right there is a hack to communicating with other people.
Yeah.
Right.
No, for sure. And I wanted to ask you something. What do you think in our experience has been the biggest struggle in our communication?
In our communication specifically?
Yeah.
I don't know. And I mean, our biggest struggle as a whole, like in our marriage, historically was like expectations.
Yeah.
Like managing expectations. Like that was, and to this day, expectations are way more managed now. Like we know what's realistic, right?
Yeah.
Because you came from a place where you had expectations of like Hallmark movie expectations, and I had zero expectations in that. Like, hey, we're just we're cruising. Like, I don't have to
vibing,
do all these things. I just have to, show you that I love you in whatever way that I know how to, or whatever. Obviously, we're now way more intentional. But when I think that it comes to, in our relationship, communication goes back to like the granular things, like being intentional about over communicating our feelings throughout the weeks and days. And I think we do a pretty decent job at doing that now, like when we go on date nights and when we're
even at night, I think.
Yeah.
Like when we're getting ready. Yeah. When we're getting ready to bed, if there was like a thought like, oh, I was thinking about this today, or whatever.
Yeah. But those conversations of like emotions and how I feel don't really happen during that time.
No.
Those tend to happen most of the time. You initiate them because you're the more emotional, you're the more, you need certain assurances and all of that. Like so you'll initiate the conversation, and that's usually, it tends to be like right before we go to bed, right? Maybe that's when you feel like everything's kind of like unwound enough. We can have this conversation. We open up about it. We talk about it. Hey, this is like, I hear you, but this is how I saw it. Or this is how I feel.
Yeah.
Like, I know that you feel this way and you feel this way towards me, but like, I apologize that you feel that way, but that's not how I intended it to be. Like, I didn't do that because of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that conversation is important, because if you just hold that in, you go to sleep at night, you wake up and you're already starting on the back, like wrong side of the bed.
I think overall in any relationship, there should be a safe place of communication.
Yes.
Where you feel that you don't have to be scared.
Yeah. Or censored or stuff.
Yeah. Or you have to, like, you feel like you're walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
If you're about to talk about something to your someone.
That could be confrontational.
Both parties have to together create that safe space, because I've seen relationships where it's like, oh no, I don't want to share with him because I'm scared to.
Yeah.
That he's going to either rage or
take it the wrong way
or misunderstand me.
Yeah.
I think that you have to find that space.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's in a tone where it's, it's not going to...
neutral tone is not elevated.
It's not elevated. You're going to hear them out, and it's one of those things that you have to put to practice where it's like, let them talk.
Yeah.
Let them talk before you input anything.
And these are things that are super good to implement in the beginning of a relationship.
Yeah.
From the very get-go, because that's the standard.
I mean, that's part of a friendship too.
Yeah, but then there's going to be relationships that have already had these bad habits of cursing each other out, of yelling at each other, communicating the wrong way, right?
Yeah.
So how do you now start to implement that? Now you
How
both
to
have
reverse
to
that.
Yeah, because you have to undo what you've already done in the way that you communicate to then implement a healthy way of communication.
Yeah, that's hard.
And that's hard when both parties are not on board.
Yeah.
Right? It's like,
that's super important.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, you want to go to therapy, which a lot of people should, or do you want to try this structure out?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to give that alternative as a person who's trying to make a relationship work. Yeah. You have to say, listen, we need to get this handled somehow.
Yeah.
These are the ways that we can handle it.
Yeah.
How would you like to proceed? Somebody has to have that conversation sometimes and, kind of make it work. And at that point, sometimes you could just say a word, like create a word within you guys that whenever this word is said, that from that point on, I'm venting, I'm opening up.
Yeah.
Don't take it the wrong way. Let's freaking figure this thing out.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to word vomit everything that I'm feeling, everything that I think and all of that, so that we can then have a conversation around that and not take it on each other, but figure out how to fix it.
Right. Because then that basically equates as like, we're a team.
Yeah.
Like, this is us together. It's not against each other. It's not competition or who wins this fight.
Exactly.
Or who wins this argument.
Right. So the way I like to think, and I literally just saw this, and I've never thought about it in this way before, but when we get injured, right, we have a cut or something like that, all of our cells run to where the injury is to fight against that thing, to try to neutralize.
Together.
to try to neutralize the
injury,
the damage, right? So that's kind of the way where you need to, whenever something happens that is puncturing your relationship, something that is affecting it, like, okay, let's come together and fight against that thing. Not each other.
Right.
And have the thing lingering right here. No, let's change our attention
of the focus
to that. And attack that and tackle it. But let's be strategic about it.
Right.
Okay, you grab that end, I'll grab this end, or let's talk about what it is, right?
Yeah.
So I think that that's a healthy way to think about it, because a lot of people in relationships are simply just against each other.
I think and that is the base of that is because they're selfish or their ego.
Yeah.
They think about themselves and putting themselves first. When if you're in a marriage, like you did a vow.
Yeah, unto God that you're one.
You're one, and you're laying yourself for that person. Meaning, I sacrifice for you first before me. You got me?
Yeah.
Like, that's how I see it.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh no, I need to take care of me first. Of course, there's going to be situations where if you feel in a certain way that you're not feeling like you need heard, obviously voice it out. But it's at the end of the day, it's a teamwork thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going against you. I'm going against the issue.
Right.
Or we are going against the issue.
Yeah. I think that just that simple, mind shift or renewal of the mind that someone or couples can have, where it's like, hey, it's us against the world.
Right.
It's not us against each other.
Yeah.
I think that alone, if both are on point with that, dynamic, and they both subscribe to that idea, so many people's relationship would be so much better.
Yeah.
Right. Because then the little things that, annoy me, or annoy you about me and so on, like that becomes so minuscule. It's like, yes, we should address those things to have a harmonious life together.
And the thing is that we're not ever going to get perfect.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
As individually and as a couple.
Yeah.
It's never going to be perfect. It's just a matter of, okay, if you see this is a repetition or it's something that's not going to change, and you both put the effort in, okay, find another way where it doesn't bother you as much. Between two. Does it make sense? Like, I mean, you just have to find the solutions together.
Right. Especially if you're married.
Right.
Like,
if you're dating, you have options.
Yeah. If you're just dating,
like,
you could either figure it out or not.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
but then again, not everybody holds marriage to such a high standard, right? Like for us, like marriage was a lifelong decision.
Right.
Right. So we took it serious from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And, to those that don't have it to that high of a regard, then, they could cop out and be like, okay, I'm out,
Yeah.
we just go our separate ways. And I think that's the coward way out. It's like, dude, you let your yes be yes and your no be no.
Exactly.
The best way that I can identify a person that I would want to have a relationship with, on a friendship level, business level, is that their yes is yes and there's no is no's.
Yeah.
For in this day and age that we live in, people's words are not worth anything anymore.
Yeah.
People just back out on their words, and that's one of my biggest pet peeves. Like to this day, I pride myself in knowing that my son knows that whenever I say I'm going to do something, that he knows Daddy's going to do it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And same with Emery, and same with you. Right. If you hear me out of my mouth say, unless of course like I forget or something like that, but my intention is to do whatever I said I was going to do and not do the things that I said I wasn't going to do.
Right.
And that goes a long way, because that I believe is correct me if I'm wrong, but that's something that, women want.
Yeah. 100%.
Women want an assertive men.
Yeah.
Assertive men to lead the family and lead the way.
Is that gives so much security and peace to the woman. I've said it before. Like that was such a turn on for me when I can see a man that it's like your decisions are like grounded.
Yeah.
Unless obviously like we see that God says something else, and sure, that's an exception.
Right.
But decisions as like a man, like who is supposed to lead your home, because biblically the man is the leader or the head of the household. Your way of deciding things for you, for us, for the family has to be like
assertive, and
like it needs to feel weight. Yeah. With your decisions, there's weight to it.
Yeah.
When you change it, often, there's no weight. There's no authority. It's like no one's going to take you serious.
Yeah. The people can just change
your mind. Even your kids are not going to take you serious, and they're not going to even like listen to you when you tell them to do something and they won't do it, because it's like, screw him.
Yeah. He's not going to do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, if kids can pick up on that, imagine, the opposite sex or the person that you're trying to, get married or whatever. As a guy, I think it's important,
And I think that also leads to women, at least I'm a big believer of serving your spouse, and by you being that way, it just gives me more of a like, oh, okay, like I desire to do this. Mm-hmm. I desire to serve him, it's all connected at the end of the day.
Right. No, as long as we are constantly fulfilling our roles as men and women in a marriage, we're always going to feel compelled to cater after the other person, right?
Yeah.
When you treat me with respect, and my love language is
food.
I think that's universal love language for men. But I would say, like respect and acts of, what's it called?
Service?
Yeah, service. Mm-hmm. Is it service? I don't know the actual name, the term for it.
What is it?
But acts of service. Yes, acts of service.
To do stuff for you?
Yeah, like my love language.
Yeah.
Acts of service and, respect. I don't know if that's a love language. That's just universal. But whenever you do that for me, I'm like, man, like she's doing everything in her power so we're constantly like in a competition, almost like in a healthy competition of like who can love the other person more, of like who could outdo the other person. And that's where you should live. It's like, it's really reflection of God's love. Like we can never outlove God.
Yeah.
We can never outgive God. We give, and God is going to pour more. Like, no, I'm not going to let you outgive me.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a really good way to also see, in a marriage where it's like, I know that you like to be loved in this way. I'm going to do that. And whenever you see that I do it, you're going to feel compelled to reciprocate that in the way that 100%. I want to be loved.
Right.
And I think that that's just, I wouldn't say a hack, because it's not easy sometimes, right? Because sometimes they've done you dirty and you still have things that you haven't really discussed. But when you start from a foundational conversation and putting everything out there, and you guys have a heart to heart, and you're starting basically from, okay, let's revamp this relationship. That's a really nice or healthy way to really set the standard of foundation of loving one another in the way that the other person wants to be loved, not how you want to be loved. Because I suffered.
We
from
went
that.
through that.
I suffered from loving you the way that I like to be loved.
Yeah.
Right. And the other way around.
Yeah. And I think I guess also it's just because you didn't really have relationship experience.
Yeah.
I guess.
Mm-hmm. I'll never forget this one time when we were dating. You went to the office that I was working at.
I know what you're gonna say.
And you brought me, it was such a like nice touch, right? Like you brought me, I think it was a big Smoothie King smoothie, and it was huge. Like I had to share it, like OD, too much. And then I think you got me some other snack, maybe hot Cheetos or some hot Cheetos. And then you put Post-its all over my car with like I love you and a bunch of different love notes and all of that. And then to me as a guy, I'm like,
this girl is crazy.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say crazy. Like I genuinely
What did I get myself into?
No. I genuinely knew what your intentions were. I didn't think you were a psycho. I knew you enough. But I knew what your intentions were. You just didn't know my love language. You didn't know what would help me feel appreciated and all of these things. But if I would have done that to you, that would have been like
over the moon.
Yeah. And for me, I'm like, oh, thank you.
And that's it.
Now I have to go take off all these Post-its off my car. Like I didn't, I guess, appreciate it as much as you probably expected.
Yeah.
Because again, it's like, as a guy, we don't, dude, like, you respect me. Like, if you would have brought me like lunch or a meal during my like right before lunchtime and say, hey babe, I got us lunch, let's eat outside and let's like talk, dude, what? Or even just the smoothie, you know, like just drop by to drop you off a smoothie, like that is, you're taking care of me, right? Right, same way that you do for like here in the house, you prep my breakfast, my overnight oats and all these things, and it's ready, and all these things. Those are the ways that I feel loved. It's like, I'm taking care of you, right?
Yeah.
Whereas for you, it's like, oh, I'm gonna stop by. I know that, you know, it's that time of month. I'm gonna stop by and buy a soup from a Dominican restaurant or whatever, you know, so that you feel that you're being taken care of, right?
Right.
So that's just very important to understand each other's love languages, because
100%.
you could be putting a bunch of effort into some way of wanting to love someone and it not be actually received the way that you think that it would.
Right. Very true.
Yeah. So awesome, guys. I think that we just rambled for however long it's been. Hopefully some people got some, you know, really good nuggets out of this and ways that they can better their relationships and implement some actionable steps to take in your relationship and communication and all of that. And I think that, you know, next time we will have more topics about cash flow. This was more so around love, I think, for the most part. But, you know, we're just flowing with what we feel that is as important to bring up, especially in these beginning episodes. I'm super excited to bring on guests. We're going to have guests for sure. We're going to make it a point to bring on guests that are successful on the love side and maybe not the cash flow side, and
Vice versa.
People that are successful in the cash flow side, but not in the love side.
Or both.
Or that they're successful in both, which is, you know, that would be amazing to hear what they got to say. So I'm excited about that. And then we also have some other surprises. So make sure that you subscribe, you like, you share. If there's any part of this conversation that you enjoyed and or you feel that your significant other should hear, or a friend that is struggling in their marriage, in their relationship, or anything like that, share it with them. Don't be stingy, bro.
Yeah. And also, like, if you have any questions that you would like to know, just write it in the comments.
Yeah, write it in the comments. DM us.
Yeah, we'll love to answer any questions. It will help us also.
Right, to know what you guys...
what people are wanting to hear about us or from us. And yeah, share, like, subscribe.
And as always, we'll see you at the top.
Let's go.